At the 2024 Game Awards, one of the biggest surprises of the night was the reveal that an Ōkami sequel was in the works. With more than 18 years passing since the original, and director Hideki Kamiya moving on from Capcom, many fans had practically given up all hope of a sequel coming to life. That was until Jeff Keighley announced the game with much fanfare and astonishment from the fans.
It's Ōkami! It's Ōkami! Ōkami!
That's crazy!
But for those unfamiliar with the cult classic, or who weren't even alive at the time, many wondered what was the big deal. Why was this game getting so much prestige and attention from those within the industry? I'm here to tell you that the hype and enthusiasm were merited. Even today, there is no other game quite like Ōkami, with every ounce of this game oozing passion and every frame meant to be as beautiful as possible. Ōkami was one of the earliest games to make the case that video games can and should be considered art. Hi, my name is Jay, and these are the Gaming Essentials. You'll be forgiven if you've never played or even heard of Ōkami. It's one of those games that's been relatively forgotten about, deep within the libraries of Capcom. But for those who have played it, it's a game that instantly sticks with you and that you'll never forget about. I too had never played Ōkami until recently. Released in 2006 and ported and restored onto many additional consoles since then, Ōkami has made a name for itself as a cult classic. By many, it is still considered a commercial failure and the product of a bygone era. It's a game that was different from what was expected from Capcom and its director Hideki Kamiya, and it is still different by today's standards. But that's what makes this game so special. From its gorgeous visuals, broad and sweeping musical score, adorable characters, and one-of-a-kind gameplay, Ōkami is one of the most unique and beautiful games that any gamer will ever play. Whether you're new to gaming and have never heard of Amaterasu and Isun's PlayStation 2 adventure, or are part of the strong few who've been dying to see more love for this franchise, join me as I talk about why Ōkami is a gaming essential. Inspired by Japanese mythology and folklore, players will take on the role of Amaterasu, a reincarnation of the Japanese goddess of the sun. Amaterasu takes on the form of a white wolf and is tasked with taking on ancient demonic forces, seeking to wreak havoc on ancient Japan. It's a classic traditional tale of good versus evil, and of gods stepping in to protect mere mortals from powers beyond their control. Much like the Legend of Zelda games that inspired it, Amaterasu is also a wordless protagonist who has no dialogue. Rather, it's all of Amaterasu's companions alongside her that make the world come alive and make this such a fun, goofy, and whimsical adventure. Characters like Isun, the small flea-like boy who accompanies Amaterasu and who chases all the pretty girls. Or Susanoo, the lazy and helpless warrior, trying to live up to his family's legendary name. And a personal favorite of mine, Onigiri-sensei, the master who only pretends to be a poor defenseless old man, but as soon as you pay him to instruct you, instantly transforms into Heihachi Mishima, ready to whip you into shape. And the world of Ōkami is full of the same level of charm and beauty all throughout. The visuals are obviously the star of the game, adopting thick black outlines and an art style that's also evocative of old ukiyo-e paintings, but it's the game's music that I especially want to highlight. It's award-worthy music that feels like it even belongs in a Studio Ghibli film. Utilizing and spotlighting traditional Japanese instruments like the koto, shamisen, shakuhachi, and taiko drums, Ōkami's music is angelic and ethereal in a way that is befitting of the gods. But Ōkami isn't just a beautiful game to look at, it's also a joy to play as well. The game's director Hideki Kamiya is known for his hand in creating and establishing the action genre with fast-paced, frenetic games like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, which came after this. And Kamiya-san applies that expertise to this game as well, with Amaterasu pulling off long combos and aerial attacks in battle. But it's not overly complex to the point where audiences who want to just play the game for its story and visuals might back away from it. Players don't have to memorize multiple button inputs, but for those who are looking for combat depth, players can mix and match different weapons, all with different properties. Looking to just blast enemies with a weapon that's basically a machine gun? Equip the large green rosary beads that also work like a whip. Want to go and Azuna drop a fool? Equip the circular reflectors and parry monsters? Foolish to think they can land a hit. Even then, however, combat is not the main focus of the game. Equipped with a magical brush, Amaterasu can paint and dapple ink all over the world, which changes the environment and allows the player to use magical powers. Powers like the ability to summon strong winds or create a vine between areas help with exploration, puzzle solving, and allow the player to discover new areas and rejuvenate the world around them. Like the Legend of Zelda games that inspired it, part of the fun is finding and unlocking new powers and abilities that not only help you in combat, but also uncover new pathways to explore. Not to mention that Ōkami also has a plethora of fun and challenging minigames that help to vary gameplay. From a simple yet addictive fishing minigame, literal whack-a-moles, and a surprisingly in-depth mining minigame where players have to find a way to the bottom, all while guiding their companion along the way. But even with all of these different gameplay features and varied combat encounters, those aspects are still not what makes playing this game so special. As a loving and caring sun goddess, Amaterasu, who also has the abilities of other Japanese deities, players interact with and run into characters who believe in the gods and their powers, and those who also have lost faith or don't believe in the gods at all. Players will also run into fields overrun with demons and dark powers. But it's Amaterasu's job to cleanse these environments of their corruption and help these individuals out, regardless of what they may believe. How does Amaterasu and you, the player, do that? By helping to plant and restore a little girl's flower garden in a village using the magical brush. By helping a spa have running and fresh water again by controlling the flow of water. By feeding the birds and animals using the small seeds and herbs that Amaterasu carries. And by helping a young boy find his lost dog in a dark dungeon full of monsters, helping him to find the courage to take on the things that scare him. That's why Ōkami is so special. It allows us, the player, to inhabit the world of a god and imagine what we could do with these divine-like powers. It allows us to help others in large and small ways and perform awesome acts for them, even if they don't realize or appreciate it. It allows us to recreate and beautify the world with a swipe of a brush. And it helps us imagine our potential to perform mighty acts, even if it's just as small as helping a sakura tree to grow. How many games can you think of that really celebrate an entire culture and its traditions? Or how many games are there really that celebrate beautifying the world and restoring it rather than destroying it? Ōkami has always been a lesser-known game with a strong following, but has never reached the strong sales numbers of Capcom's other titles like Resident Evil or even Dragon's Dogma. But to be honest, I think that's pretty spot on, because Ōkami is a game that helps us appreciate all the little miracles around us that many might not even notice. Following the release of Ōkami, its developer, Clover Studio, shut down soon after. Hideki Kamiya went on to form Platinum Games, which developed games like Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Both went on to become key pillars in the action genre, further cementing Kamiya-san's legacy as one of the most illustrious game developers in the world. Meanwhile, Ōkami was not long after named the least commercially successful winner of a Game of the Year award by the Guinness Book of World Records in 2010. But the future of the series and Hideki Kamiya is now looking up, as an official sequel of Ōkami is now in the works. Hideki Kamiya was even stated to be at the helm of a newly formed studio called Clovers developing the game. Who knows if the sequel will garner more attention for this small yet lovingly crafted video game. But either way, Ōkami is evidence of the power and impact of video games and how gameplay, visuals, music, and arts can all come together to form an experience that only video games can tell. And that's why Ōkami is a gaming essential.